In this video, we'll explore using symbols and 3D effects in Adobe Illustrator. Open up Illustrator and go to Create New. I'll change my unit of measurements to inches, and I'll make this document 5 inches by 5 inches. 1 artboard, 0 bleed. Click Create. I can reset my Essentials workspace and we'll save our document. File, Save As. We can open up your USB drive into your Adobe Design Suite folder, and we'll make a new folder titled 25-AI-Symbols 3D. Open up that folder. I can keep it in Adobe Illustrator.ai format, and I'll highlight Untitled and change it to your last name -25 symbols 3D .ai. Hit the Save button and then OK. We'll start off by opening up our Symbols panel. Go up to the Window menu at the top, down to Symbols. In the lower left corner of the Symbols panel is additional symbol libraries that you can open up. So in order for us to apply a symbol in a few minutes to a 3D object through something that's called map art, we have to add them into the symbol library first in order to be able to apply them. So there's a lot of fun ones. You can just choose a different library and it opens up in a separate panel, and I can see it hasn't added anything yet, but I can always just kind of click in there and you'll see it gets added to the symbol library. You can also select a couple different symbols, drag them over that way, and you can also go to the hamburger menu and tell it to add to symbols. So I can go back and open another. And just add a few fun symbols in here. Now we're ready to start drawing a simple shape that we'll be applying a 3D effect to. I'll go up to my pen tool, P, on my keyboard, and I'm just going to draw 1/2 of a flower pot. So I'll just make it really simple. A little bit of a curvature on there. And then just a little bit added to the bottom. I'm done with that path now, so I'll hit my Escape key. And I'll take off my white fill that I have applied. If you want to apply a different color to your stroke, you can. And I'll go up to my selection tool, V on my keyboard. I have my shape selected. There's my vectors. And I'm going up to the Effect menu at the top. 3D Revolve. Inside of the 3D Revolve options box, you can change the positioning of it. There are some preset positions at the top you can use, but if you grab inside this cube, you can also move it around in any custom direction or rotation. Where it says revolve angle, right now it's set to 360 degrees. So that means it revolved that vector shape all the way back around to the beginning. But if you didn't want to revolve it completely, you could change the angle degree. Offset refers to how far away from the original path do you want to revolve your object. And then you can get different effects by offsetting it from the left edge of your path versus the right edge. Down at the bottom of this window, you'll see more options. And this lower half pertains to the surface lighting, which is what builds up that 3D illusion. If you wanted to change where the light source is coming from, you can use this little circle and adjust that by hand. You can also go through the additional options for intensity on light and highlight. Down at the bottom you'll see shading color. You can choose none, black. Custom will open up your color picker. At the bottom left corner, you'll see that there is a preview box. So if you've been going through these options and you don't see any changes, make sure that you have the preview box selected. Next, I'll go to the Map Art button. This allows us to apply symbols to those 3D surfaces that we just created. So my object has 14 different surfaces. As you scroll through, you'll see that it will highlight those different surfaces. So the foreground of my object is surface 7, and I'll choose a symbol. You can only apply one symbol per surface. And you can see if I brought my whole symbol over into the white area, it's not showing up on the object. It's the darker gray area that it will actually appear there. I can also resize my symbols and move them wherever I want to. I can rotate. So you can apply one symbol per side, and if you wanted to remove them, you would have to go back to that particular surface and tell it to clear. Otherwise, you could clear all, and that would clear all of the symbols on all of the surfaces. If you have too many surfaces, I have 14, that's about the max of what I want, but you could always try to go back into your revolve options box and maybe bring the offset down a little bit. That might help bring the number of surfaces down. I'll hit the OK. And now in my appearance panel, I see that it has a 3D revolve effect added to that object. Let's save our document. And this is a non-destructive effect. If I go to my outline view, there's the original path that I created. So that hasn't changed. This is reversible. So if I have that path selected, I can go back through my appearance panel to the 3D revolve, and it also has mapped in parentheses there. So that also indicates that I have a map art applied to my surfaces. But if I wanted to go back in and make any adjustments, I could just click through the appearance panel, and I noticed that I didn't have a perfect 360-degree revolve angle, so I'm fixing that, and I'll hit OK. 3D effects do tend to be a little glitchy, so don't be totally surprised if this crashes your computer, if it is acting kind of funny. I just noticed that it's not showing my symbol on there anymore. So sometimes when you're adding 3D effects, it just takes a lot of RAM on your computer. So I would suggest saving often. And also, if that does happen frequently, you can try to quit out of Illustrator, restart it. You could also try to restart your whole machine. You could try to close some other programs that you might have open at the same time, and that will help. Now, if I wanted to scale this object, right now if I were to just go to one of the corner handles and scale it, actually it looks like it's doing okay. Otherwise, you can right click and go to Transform, Scale, and I would just recommend having the Scale, Strokes, and Effects box checked, and that way if I were to scale this, it would scale that symbol and map art along with the object. Just to give an example of what it would look like if I uncheck Scale, Strokes, and Effects, and then scaled the object, I lost my map art that way. So it looks like when I had previously done that, I already had that option box checked, so I was okay. But if you find that your map art is disappearing, that might be why. I'll save my document. And now we'll put a little bit of dirt in the pot. I will go to my ellipse tool, L on your keyboard, and I'll just add an oval shape in here. I'll swap the fill-in stroke color and give it a brown color. You can go back to your selection tool if you need to make any adjustments. And we can add some texture to this oval here. So if we go up to the Effect menu, make sure you have that oval selected. I'll go to Effect, down to Texture, Texturizer. So you can adjust the scaling and the relief. hit OK. If it's too much or too little, you can always go back through your appearance panel where it says texturizer effect, and you could bring down some of those options. You could also change what kind of texture it is. Do you want sandstone, canvas, burlap, brick? Click OK when you're done. Save your document. And if I went to my outline view, here's what I have as far as vectors right now. So that texturizer I just applied, that isn't technically vectored, it's an effect, as is the 3D revolve and the map art that we applied to our paths too. So those are all invisible effects as far as the vectors go right now. I'll go back to my symbols panel library and I'll choose a flower or a plant to put into my pot. You can double click on your symbol to add it to the symbol library, or you can just drag onto your artboard. So these symbols, when I go to my outline view, I can see the vectors of these. I'll hold my shift key down and place it inside. Make any additional sizing adjustments you need to any of the objects we have, and I only have 3 technically. There are a couple areas of the tree symbol that I'd like to adjust. So this area that's sticking over the edge of the pot. So I'm on my white direct selection tool, but it won't let me select a single anchor point. It just kind of allows me to transform the entire object. So what I can do to it is break the link to symbol. And that releases the vectors. All my vectors are solid right here, so I need to deselect by clicking out. And then I'll go to these couple anchor points I need to adjust, and I can pinpoint them and adjust them. I'll save my document. V to go back to the selection tool. I'll select the entire document and drag it into my symbols panel. When I release, the symbol options box shows up, so you can rename it. I will export my type as a graphic, keep it a dynamic symbol, and OK. And now I see that entire image is inside of my symbols panel. So I could just drag it out if I wanted to use it. Save your document. So we talked about symbols and the 3D revolve effect. The 3D Extrude Bevel is very fun to use too. It works really well on text. If I go to my type tool and I click inside my artboard, I'll retype my word. You can format the text if you'd like. And I'll change the fill color. Using my selection tool, I have my text selected, and then go up to the Effect menu, 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And this is similar to the Revolve panel that we used. You can use these different positionings. You can just click inside the cube and rotate. And then you can choose whether you want your object to be hollow or solid. That's under the cap or next to the cap option. Extrude depth. So it doesn't take very much. It doesn't take very much, and that slider goes pretty fast when you're sliding it over, so you might even need to just type in your amount. Under bevel, different kind of bevel styles in here. Let's see, my height, can I bring that down? And then you can also change, do you want the bevel to go inward or outward? Under surface, we can show additional options by hitting the More Options box. And then you can choose what kind of surface shading do you want. Do you want wireframe, no shading, diffuse, or plastic? Then you can adjust the lighting. Change what kind of shading color you want to use, and you can apply map art to this as well. So I have 23 surfaces on here. See, scale to fit. Now I'll go to the D surface. Click OK, and then OK. Save your document. So have fun exploring these effects and different symbols. Remember that if you ever wanted to adjust those 3D effects, you would go through your Appearance panel. Make sure you have your objects selected. Submit this AI document. No need to compress the file. And that's all for Illustrator symbols and 3D effects. Thank you.